We've all been there. Post-ride drinks in the pub and someone has the bright idea of you all entering some major cycling event, like the Etap or the Maratona. And, because the beer is cold and you're revelling in your post-ride glow, you end up agreeing. Then you wake up next day with maybe a tad of a hangover and think, oh dear, what have I let myself in for? That feeling of dread is made worse by the fact that you live in a part of the country where the hills are like pimples compared to the ones you've just signed up to ride. What are you going to do? Well, don't worry. We are here to help with a few simple tips to get you started. While riding up and down hills, if you have any within striking distance of your home, won't do you any harm, it is not an essential part of your preparation. Conditioning your body for long alpine-type climbs is more about building endurance and your ability to output consistent power than turning yourself into some sort of mountain goat. So make sure your training reflects this. Even if you live in a hilly area, you should spend some time working on maintaining climbing power and tempo for long periods, often longer than UK hills allow. So that brings us to tip number 1. Move to Holland. Or, failing that, find a long, flat piece of road without too many traffic lights, pedestrian crossings, or other obstructions. Design a circuit that turns left rather than right so that you are less likely to be stopped at junctions. Step 2. Understand sweet spot. In fact, there are a few terms you'll need to understand. Some you may know already. Threshold power is the level of effort you can maintain for 1 hour before you fall off the bike in a heap. Sweet spot means riding at an effort level just under your threshold power. Gauging your effort level is easiest if you have a power meter or a heart rate monitor. But even if you don't have these, you can aim to work at an effort level where talking is difficult. This will be your sweet spot zone. Sweet spot training is one of the most effective and rapid ways to improve your aerobic engine. It allows you to train more often as it is not as physically demanding as threshold and is perfect for developing the kind of engine to conquer the long climbs you have just let yourself in for come the summer. Step 3. Warm up for 20 to 30 minutes, then ride at sweet spot effort levels for 15 to 20 minutes to start with. Take a short break of maybe 10 to 15 minutes and repeat the process. Gradually lengthen the time you spend in sweet spot in each session until you can manage an hour or even more. Tip 2, Step 1. Learn to love a headwind. Cycling into a strong wind makes it easier to put out power at lower cadences, just as you'll be doing on a long climb. So, when training for long climbs, remember the wind is your friend. Bear this in mind when designing your training route and try to make sure your efforts are into the prevailing wind where you live. Step 2. Sit up on your bike with your hands on top of your bars as you might when climbing. This increases the drag and also helps you simulate the body position you are most likely to adopt on any long ascent. Get out of the saddle too for short periods, again to simulate how you might ascend, as well as helping you shift position on the bike to rest certain muscle groups. Remember, when climbing, change is as good as rest. Step 3. Make it hard. Really hard. Wear baggy clothing for extra wind resistance. Carry a rucksack with weights. And if you have a hill near your circuit, preferably a long, shallow one, finish your sweet spot efforts on this hill. You can even do what Chris Froome did and ride with your brakes on, although it might get expensive and we wouldn't recommend it. Tip 3. go on a diet. If your idea of a recovery meal is this, and you've been doing a bit too much of this, and they're therefore feeling a bit like this, then there is no getting round it. If you want to do this, then eating this instead of this will definitely help to turn this into this. Diet tip 1. Make sure that the calories you consume doing this, and this are more than the calories you consume doing this and this. It is simple. Calories in must be lower than calories out. Diet tip 2. Do not believe computers. Their calorie estimates are wildly inaccurate. Don't use them as an excuse to eat more. In time, you will learn how much energy you are consuming and can adjust your diet accordingly. Diet tip 3. Forget fancy fad and single food diets. Where possible, make sure you eat slow-release carbohydrates to fuel your training and consume plenty of clean, lean protein. But remember, whatever you eat, the simple rule is calories in should be fewer than calories out. Tip 4. Join a training camp.
Hello, I'm Joel Davis from Viva Velo. If you've entered a mountain sportive like the Étape or the Maratona, or even if you're just planning on doing a long point-to-point ride like Geneva to Nice, then I hope you'll find this video helpful in helping you to prepare for the long sustained efforts that will be required. But there's nothing like riding some long climbs to prepare you for riding long climbs, especially if you can ride them in the sunshine while everyone in the UK is still shivering in the rain. Scheduling a training camp into your plans is no bad idea, and it doesn't have to be a boot camp. Just riding your bike on successive days can bring big benefits. In fact, we have a phrase for it. We call it 4-day fitness. 4-day fitness because that's how long it takes on average before our clients begin to see the improvements in their stamina and strength. So much so that the kind of climbs that were seemingly tough or possibly even impossible on day 1 become manageable, or dare we say it, even actually enjoyable just 4 days later. You can use our camps to help you kickstart your training, or simply as a staging post to boost and test your improvements. See it as a reward for the hard work you've done already, or a little present to yourself to motivate you to even better things. You can find details of our camps on our website www.vivavelo.uk or below this video on our YouTube channel. And if you book one of our camps in January, we'll send you a complimentary, personally tailored 12-week training program to help you prepare for whatever challenge you have set yourself for the 2018 season. In the meantime, as always, if you have any questions you think we can help with, just email us at inquiries@vivavelo.uk. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope to see you soon.